Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. In this video I want to show you guys around my command shell and what I've done with it to make it a little bit more personal to me, and why I've done those things, because I think that would be a pretty interesting insight. Obviously, I'm not like you guys, I'm blind, I do things a little differently on the computer, and, you know, maybe I do my command shell differently than you guys, and maybe I do things a little similar, but I want to show you guys because I'm really proud of it. There's one issue that I will go into, but other than that, it's a really nice prompt. Anyway, we're in my IDE right now, and it's related, but we don't actually need to be in the IDE. We can be in a regular terminal, and you know, we're gonna go ahead and right now we're viewing it from the stratosphere, but I'm a yell enhance, right? And now we can see it. That's a joke from a previous video in the comment section. Someone said that, and I'm like, that's the choice of being blind. I can yell enhance and things actually become more detailed for me. They do, because at this level I can't see a damn thing. But anyway, so we can see my prompt, and crucially, the most important thing for me is that the command, like the actual command entry part, is very close to the edge of the screen. The leftmost edge of the screen when you consider the terminal. I don't like single line prompts. I find them very annoying to use because whenever I run a command, I have to scroll over as I'm typing, and then I have to scroll back to where the prompt starts, and sometimes it's not immediately obvious to me, and it's not immediately obvious when a command exits and I'm back at the prompt. Whereas with this prompt, one of the most important things about it is that there's a space between the command that was run and the start of the prompt, as in there's a line feed between the two. So if I echo the word Richie, you can see that there's that break, there's that white space between Richie and the start of my prompt. It's very important for me for an accessibility perspective, so that's part of it. The other part of it is if I have something long running, like I do a yay, and you know, update my system. I obviously have to scroll down eventually, and yes, I am doing a full system update in the middle of a video. Why not? But you can see that this prompt here is very different from the other prompt, and I can tell that it's different because it's not the same prompt, and it's you know, asking me if I want to install some packages. Yeah, I do. Go ahead, do your thing. And you know, as it install all of these packages, with the normal bash prompt, I really can't tell when it's actually finished unless I'm zoomed in, like this. And sometimes I'm off doing my own thing on another screen, and if that's the case, when I go to check back the terminal, sometimes I get my hopes up thinking the thing is done, and it's not, and it gets really annoying. And, you know, you have these long-running tasks like this where I would actually want to go ahead and do something else while it's happening. And sometimes you have situations like this where there's not the blank line at the bottom of the screen and it's still going. Still going. And, you know, I get really frustrated when I check on something and I can't tell when it's done. But right now I can immediately tell it finished. Because it's colorful. I can tell there's the 3 arrows asking me, hey, what do you want to run? And it's amazing. I love it. So that's part of the prompt. Now, as far as the actual prompt itself, the features it has, obviously you have your simple username at hostname, like every prompt should have. You should know who you are and what you're running on. We have the current directory, which right now is the tilde, which, again, you should also know where you are. So every prompt should have that. And if I go into a folder, one of the most important things that my prompt does, that a lot of prompts do, but the default Arch Linux one doesn't, is it shows the full path. Well, full path relative to the home directory if you are in the home directory, but everybody who uses Linux enough to customize their prompt knows that the tilde means home, so for me, that's fine. But generally, I don't like it when it just displays the current directory name, in this case, if it were to just say projects. Because what ends up happening is, for example, if I go into a folder like Alkaline Thunder, which is my main projects folder. It's kind of like my dumping ground, honestly. If I go into Hyper Mic Monitor, and then, okay, you'll see another feature. While we're in Hyper Mic Monitor, you can see that a third line got added to the prompt, and it's nice and yellow, and it's saying that I'm on Hyper Mic Monitor Master, because it detected I'm in a Git repository. Anyway, back to what I was saying. If I go into this next directory, which is also named Hyper Mic Monitor, if the prompt only showed the name of the directory, I wouldn't know if I'm in the Hyper Mic Monitor repository or the Hyper Mic Monitor project, because they are both called Hyper Mic Monitor. And then you get into things like, if I go into projects / packages Hyper Mic Monitor, it'd do the same thing. And, you know, not even the Git would help me, technically, because it also says Hyper Mic Monitor Master, but in this case, it's an AUR package. So, I really want to have my full directory name shown, and I'm able to do that, thankfully. I think that's kind of like a very important thing for me, is to be able to see exactly where I am, not just relatively where I am. Anyway, going forward from that, we have something that is broken, the exit status. And the reason it's broken is I'm going to run a bunch of gibberish, which should have an exit status of something that isn't 0. It should throw an error, but it does not. Unfortunately, because, yeah, it doesn't. It knows the command is not found, and Blesh said the exit code was 127, but Blesh is not my prompt. It's my line editor. Why is it doing that? I want my prompt to show that. But anyway, blame Blesh. Bleh. Anyway, I like Blesh. I just made that joke. After that exit status that is currently broken, and it does work if I disable Blesh, don't worry, we have the date and time. Sunday, May 19th at 8:19:42 p.m. What do you mean you can't read 24-hour clock? I thought everybody could. I can barely read it, don't worry. Anyway, yeah, so that's the first line of the prompt. The second line of the prompt that you're seeing right now only shows up if it's in a Git repository. So, in a regular folder, you don't see it, but in a Git repository, you do. And when you're on the master branch, it only shows the repo name and the branch name that you're on. So if I go down a level, back into projects, and then go into a project that has actual folders in it, we're going to go Alkaline Thunder, and we're going to go socially distant, restitch. You're going to see that it shows me that I'm in SoakDist restitch. But now the prompt is different. Right now it shows that I'm on work 24.05, and that's all you're going to see for now. But if I go into a directory like assets, you're going to see that it is showing the repo name itself. It's showing the top level directory and not the current directory you're in. It's really important for me because sometimes I work in bigger projects that have like multiple sub-modules and stuff like that, and it's nice to know where I am in terms of Git. Now, this is the second variant of the prompt. Notice, or the third variant of the prompt, because the first variant is the one where you're not in a Git repository. The second is where you're on master. This prompt is even more different. You'll notice that the branch I'm on, work/24.05, is white, or whatever color that is. I think it's yellow in the code, but because of my current console theme, it's displaying as white. I can't remember. Either way, we're on work/24.05, and if we scroll over even more, there's more info. It says 59 ahead of, 0 behind, master. This is because it knows that I am actually on a working branch, or a feature branch, or some other branch that is not the main branch, and it is comparing on the fly how much work I've done on that branch, and how far behind I am on that branch. Now, it's doing it locally, it's not doing it remotely, because remote queries like that are kind of slow, because you have to fetch from Git from GitHub or GitLab or wherever your GitHub or your Git repository is stored, and that requires internet access. And I almost never need to do that. But with Socially Distant, right now I am 59 commits ahead of master. And this is really helpful for me because something that the KDE devs want you doing on KDE Invent is when you submit a merge request, they don't want you submitting multiple commits at once. They want you submitting a single commit that's been squashed. I had to do this with my Zoom multi-head fix a few months ago. And the way you do that is by doing git rebase -I for interactive. And then you need to tell it how many commits back to go on the head, and the head being where you are right now on this branch. And you need to know that number, otherwise you're going to squash commits that you shouldn't be squashing. And in my case, I happen to know what that number is. I need to type in head tilde 59. I know that because my prompt is telling me I'm 59 ahead. And if I hit enter on that, it's going to go into Nano, and I'm going to get 59 commits to sort through and pick, and I'm going to get all the messages. And what you're going to see as I scroll through this, if you can read it, it's a lot, but it's the entire changelog of Socially Distant 24.05 InDev, because that's the way that I work. So I could take all of this into a text editor, clear it all out, squash it, and then I'd end up rebasing this entire feature branch into, not feature branch, this is a work branch, but I'd take that entire list of commits and squash it into one, write the changelog, which I already have in front of me, just need to massage the formatting a little, and boom, I can merge that into master, and it'll be one clean commit. And this is even better, because if I go ahead and clear this all out, and go back to a prompt, that's going to cancel the rebase, by the way. So we're back, and you can see the exit status is still bugged. If we go back to my home directory, as you guys may recall, or if you don't, I am an occasional KDE contributor. I haven't done much, and most of what I do is submit bugs and find ways to reproduce them. But I have contributed code, and I plan to in the future as well. So I have the source code of some KDE projects on my computer using something called KDE SRC build, which is what KDE tells you to use because it's their build script. But because I use that, I actually have a KDE folder in my home directory, and inside that folder is SRC, and then inside that folder is going to be a bunch of KDE projects, but Kwin is the one I'm interested in because that's what I mostly contribute to in terms of bugs. And as you can see, we go into Kwin, I'm in the Kwin repository, I'm on Zoom repaint fix, I'm 0 ahead of, and 0 behind master. And if I do a git pull, see how much has been done since the last time I did this. I actually don't know. That's not gonna work. This branch is not set up to pull it from anything. We're gonna hit checkout master, git pull, and we're up to date. Okay, git checkout. Let's just, for an example, don't worry KDE, I'm not gonna push this. Touch test, and then nano test. Richie is the coolest human in existence. Alright, we're gonna save that, git add everything, git commit -m, do a thing. Right? And then, alright, so I've committed to master on Kwin, so, you know, there's a new commit, I pulled it in, it's new work from someone else on KDE, git check out Zoom repaint fix, and then it's going to say that I am now 0 commits ahead of master, one behind master. And this would tell me I need to rebase on that one commit, which I'm not going to do, because no, but you know, I would be able to do that just knowing what my prompt is saying. So, no, I'm not going to get push. We're going to get reset head tilde 1 to bring us back to the previous state of Kwin, which is what Kwin actually is meant to be, and then we're going to remove test. And then that should bring my repository back to what I wanted to do. So if you ever need to revert a commit you haven't pushed yet, that's how. You just reset to the previous commit, and then there you go. It's gone. It's wiped from history. But yeah, so yeah, that was a little demo of my shell prompt. It's not something you can get. It's custom. I actually wrote it. Why did I open Chrome? I actually wrote it in Bash, and we're gonna look at it. So the first thing that we do is ignore these bind things. They're commented out. I actually don't want them. But we have this start and end thing, and these are just escape sequences to make sure that readline doesn't get confused. Not that I'm using readline, but yeah. And then a bunch of these variables are just, well, console's kind of showing them to you. They are, they're ANSI escape sequences for different colors and stuff like that. And then if we go down, we have some functions. There's get underscore origin underscore branch. This just echoes the word master, because alternative is to pull a remote, or pull remote data, and it's slow. I don't know why it shouldn't be querying the internet for this, but it does, and it's very slow. I don't know why. But either way, yeah, it echoes master. If there's a way very quickly to get the default branch of a Git repository for like master and main, because some people decided master is apparently a too derogatory a word to call your branch by default. I disagree with that, but you do you. But obviously I don't want my code to break because someone decided to make Git more politically correct. Even though, you know, context is everything, and master in this context does not mean master in that context. Anyway, I want my code to work. So if anyone knows how to detect that, let me know. But anyway, we have this other function here, which just gets the current branch. And then we have this function here, which gets the repository name by reading the top-level directory of the current repository you're in. And then we have this function prompt command, which is what ultimately ends up becoming my prompt command. And what's going on here? There's a lot going on. So the first thing that we do is we get the return value of the last command, and that's what breaks with Blesh, unfortunately. We have user color equals blue, and then host color equals cyan, and then get info equals nothing, and then is in Git repository equals, and then we just figure out if we are actually in a Git repository right now, and if we're not, then we don't do any of the Git stuff, basically. And then this determines the color of most things. If the return value of the last command is not 0, then we start doing red and go all flashy because it's an error. And then if we have the Git stuff, then we set up the actual Git specific stuff. So first I get the current branch that you're on, which is git cur branch, and I get git master, and then I get the name of the repository, so just calling those functions above. And then what I do is I check if we are on git master, then the git info is just in purple, the current branch name, or not current name, the current repository name, and then in red the current branch. So that's how we end up with, Kwyn Master. And then there's this weird new line here. That's just to make sure that the 3 arrows in the prompt actually end up on their own line. But then if we are not on Master, then we figure out our commit status, which is how many ahead and how many behind we are. And then we figure out how many ahead we are by using awk, which I don't know how to use awk. I just stole this from Stack Overflow. And then I do the same thing with behind, and then, yeah, another terrifying awk statement. I don't know what it does. I don't know how it works. And then we set get info to basically the result of that. So in purple we have the repo name. In yellow, which, yeah, it is yellow, we have the current branch name. And then in the next section we have, in white we have the commits ahead of, and then commits behind, in white, behind, and then master. So, it's all bash. It works surprisingly well. I haven't had any issues with it. And obviously, down here is where we actually export PS1 to get bash to use it. And then you can see there's my $user color, and then \u for username, the host name, and then we have the working directory, and we have the exit status in the user color, and then we have our date and time, and right below we have get info and then the 3 arrows. And then because get info will always either be nothing or have that new line at the end of it, it will put the arrows on its own line where they belong. And then, the restore is just to make sure that your command is actually the right color when you start typing it in. And the last thing that I'm going to do is we're going to comment out that Blesh, because I like Blesh, but it's broken and it doesn't work, and I would much rather have a working prompt that is kind of not great than a prompt that is okay to use, but it breaks part of my prompts. Where did that terminal go? I don't know. We're gonna reopen it. Okay. So, yeah, to prove that, yeah, so Blesh is now gone. We run an invalid command, and now everything is red. So we have, yeah, bash LSD command not found. That's funny. That's funny because I do believe that's actually a package. LSD. Of course I typoed the typo. Yeah, LSD is an actual package. I don't know what it does, but now I have LSD on my computer. And if I make that typo again, it will no longer be a command error. What did that do? Did it just list the contents of my directory? Is that all it did? That's kind of funny. But anyway, yeah, so that was a look at my prompt. Hopefully you guys found that interesting, or learned something about bash. It's not that hard to write. If I can do it, you definitely can. And with that said, as always, I'm Michael, even though everyone calls me Richie. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. If you like what I do, want to support me, there's the Patreon in the description below. And I will see you guys in the next video. I already said that. I keep butchering this outro. And the best part is, I got my Stream Deck working.